Good evening and welcome to episode 9 of LGAHL Access. I am your host, Bryson66. We've got the usual suspects, maybe a little secret hidden gem in there today. Please welcome to the show. I'm Fourth Line Worthy. How are you doing this day, sir?
Pretty good, you?
I'm doing well. I'm dressed nice for the occasion. I thought, I'm having a President's Trophy winning GM in here. I've got to dress well.
You look good to me.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. You. Of course, I can't forget the rest of the loyal friends. Dunk's looking confused as always. Dunks, that's a lovely sweater you're wearing today.
Yeah, I'm feeling Christmassy as fuck. It's my son's ugly Christmas sweater. But a side note, are you ever gonna remove Fourth's cock from your mouth? Or...
I figured I'd jump on it before you go, oh, that's my buddy. That's my...
Hey, time out. Flag on the play. Who gets all the guests for the show? I ask everybody except we.
Hold on 1 sec before you say anything else. No, I didn't hear anyone ask.
Kiss my ass. Why do I subject myself to this fucking torture?
I don't know why you do. Let's get to the rest of the panel. Dave, Garris, how are you gentlemen doing?
Hi.
Okay, that's the Down syndrome we know.
Oh, I'm doing good. That's all I need to know. Doing good. School's going good.
Good to hear, man. All right, so here we are. 9 weeks in. Everyone knows what that means. Playoffs are coming up. Exciting times ahead. Lots of shit talking. Everyone's excited. I'm not going to talk about the CUDA season, and we're not going to talk about Toba's season because we get to that later in the interview of this show. But playoffs are upon us. We've got a nice show for you today. We're going to start off by doing a brand new, I guess, yeah, it's brand new, but it's going to be lines of the season. We're going to do, Dunks, why don't you explain, or Dave, I know both of you worked together on this.
So basically what I decided to do I touched on it on a show a few weeks back. Lines of the season, basically we compiled everyone that we had on Lines of the Week each week. And there were a few people who showed up way more often than everybody else, so they got easy spots. Couple of spots where we had some trouble picking people was right wings for both conferences. So I went ahead and did some deep digging and found who I thought was the #1 candidates for lines of the season. I look forward to presenting that to you guys a little bit later on. So hopefully get to that here soon. But I know we got some other news to talk about as well.
Dave, any comments to this?
Yeah, no, that's pretty much how it went. I mean, I helped to get the original list, and then Dunks went through and he weeded out the ones that he thought were worthy, were not worthy, etc. So, I mean, overall, I think it's a pretty good list. I think everybody on it's deserving of it, and if anybody feels snubbed, that sucks for you.
Yeah, leave your salty comments for the bottom.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
All right. And then we're going to get on with an interview with Fourth Line. Me and Fourth will be talking.
I'm honored.
Honored. And we will wrap the show up with, now obviously top 10 power rankings are a little obvious, teams made the playoffs. So we're going to do, instead of replace of top 10, we're going to do a new segment. It's going to be called Playoff Analysis. I know, very clever. I just took me 2 minutes to come up with. And we're going to discuss the series. I'll elaborate the series, and then we'll kind of go with our predictions. Obviously, I did my predictions, and there were a lot of predictions. My God, so let's get on to that. First off, lots of media, lots of good media. I started a new job, as most people know, and I had so much free time on my hands, so I spent 5 hours on a write-up. That's good government money, right, Josh?
Welcome to the government life, man. I do all my LG shit while I'm at work. Fuck that. I'm getting paid good money while I sit on the website.
So sad.
Man, just think of it. In a few months, you'll be paying to watch this, technically.
Yeah, that's right. Tax dollars are hard at work. But, yeah, I saw, oh, man, I'll tell you, not Grandpa, sorry, Notorious. Notorious did quite a lengthy write-up that I got busy today, so I wasn't able to read it yet, but man, that man writes some pretty in-depth articles. I'm excited to get to that later tonight.
It's more or less it's a fun read. It's a really good read. He takes the time and he does his effort.
Yeah, read the first couple paragraphs, and I know how Notorious is. I've seen him.
Definitely a fun read. He did them last season every week, and they were really fun to read. He does his research, and he makes it in a fun way.
Yeah, he's a very clever individual.
Yeah,
yes.
exactly.
I think he likes my wallpaper too. So
Who does? Everyone comments on your
it's
wall.
just become the thing, the
You should be
view.
a designer. You have a lot of clients waiting for you.
I know they'd rather look at the wallpaper than look at my face. It's understandable.
I'd say I blame them.
Oh, well, yeah, you've had to see it in person,
next
so.
show should just be off camera.
Damn.
Well,
Body.
no, I mean, like, it'd be kind of weird.
It would be just normal.
Everybody take cover. Shots
I
are
can-
really being fired right now.
I can
Wow,
try it.
didn't
I
know
can
that
try
you were
it.
gone.
But
All right. Anyway,
yeah, some good media was written. Darcy put about the goalie rankings. I really liked Crosby's, and not because I'm biased, and everyone knows I like Crosby. But the numbers that he had written out there was pretty neat. It was a different way of looking at the playoffs, and I liked that a lot. I thought that was.
Do you know how he does that?
I think it was something with. Didn't he say he used LG as part of that?
I think so. I think he did that 2 seasons ago too. It was kind of cool. Definitely a different look. It's simple, but it's more like complex at the same time.
Yep, it's strong information, but in a shorter. It's for those LDR folks in the league, you know.
Well, that
Exactly.
confused the shit out of me, mostly because I'm an idiot, so we won't get too deep
Too
into
many
that one.
numbers.
Yeah, let's
Seriously, I failed algebra.
let's not get Dave to read a lengthy letter.
Other media news. Hilly got banned about an hour and a half ago.
Yeah, that.
sad.
Well, I mean, I chose Lehigh to win. Now I go from Lehigh to. Well, I'll get to that later. But I think I chose Lehigh in 6, right?
No matter what Lehigh is losing, I do not want to see certain someone gloat
Don't
about
say
being
that.
carried.
Doesn't Hershey play Wilkes-Barre?
Huh?
Doesn't
No,
Hershey
it's Providence.
Wilkes-Barre play?
I thought.
Oh yeah. Hershey does.
I changed my vote. That's a huge depth hit.
There was something else that happened.
Providence, then, yeah.
There was something else that happened that's changing playoffs drastically too. Something with a roster change. Oh, Howie's going on IR. Did you hear about that? Seriously, Howie said he was going on IR. Like, no shit. I could have been bullshit. He seemed pretty serious.
Is the baby coming? Is that what it is, or
maybe.
shit.
Wow, wait.
Well, we brought it up on the other show, so it's fine. Everybody knows.
Yeah. So that happens. They're down 2 defensemen on their roster because I remember looking. They were down 1 already that they had to call up.
That's true.
So I don't know how screwed they are.
They got the deceptive guy who's doing pretty good as a ECU, but
right.
I think they'll be all
When
right.
you IR someone, you can call up whatever the cap is, right? As an IR call up.
No, you can call up anyone. I thought it was anyone.
That's what I said. No matter what the cap is.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then they'll be all right. Okay.
But I think it might have to fit into the playoff rule ECUs. I would assume so.
Well, right.
Just
They're amateurs. Right.
Yeah, because like for instance, we could ECU me and use Golsky over as an ECU for me. Like I could go as an IR and Golsky could ECU for me. So
I don't know about that.
no, I'm saying
really?
it would. I'm not saying it would be a cheap way. You know.
Right.
It's an idea, but I mean, it's a cheap way if it was legal.
Yep. So.
I love Golsky.
Everyone
I was hoping it was allowed.
But all right, we're gonna get on with the show here. Next up, we've got Lines of the Season. Don't want to miss it. It's coming up next. Welcome back, as we are here for Lines of the Season, and this is exciting. It's a new little feature we're doing. We're gonna have Dunks and Dave doing this. Dunks is gonna be doing the West, and Dave is gonna be doing the East. They're gonna give you our Lines of the Season. And without further ado, Dunks, take it away. Who do we got?
All right, guys, let's get into it. So with lines of the season, we already went over how it goes. So with the West, we had I'm Fourth Line Worthy, who went 25-1. He had 53 goals, 56 assists, and 109 points with a plus 73, 22 penalty minutes, 226 giveaways, and 75 takeaways. 1 loss. I wish I could have given him an extra one, but oh well, he kicked my ass every fucking time I played him. At center, we have OCB Bombay, or it's just Bombay now, his gamer tag. He went 19-7-1, goals 35, assists 35, 70 points, plus 22, 24 penalty minutes, and 56.4 save percentage. Or save percentage, wow, Jesus Christ, 56.4 face-off percentage, 118 giveaways, and 62 takeaways. I really wanted to highlight him because he had very minimal giveaways and put together a really solid season and a lot of close games for us. Moving on to right wing, we have Hammy X27, 18-6-3 record, 27 goals, 37 assists, equating to 64 points, at plus 32, 16 PIMs. A lot of giveaways here, 380 giveaways and 92 takeaways. But Hammy played against 18 playoff teams and put together a very, very good record, and that's why he makes it over other right wings in the West. Lefty, we have Wally Mack, who went 25-2, 6 goals, 18 assists, 24 points, and a plus 28. Only 14 penalty minutes, 114 giveaways, and 51 takeaways. He got traded mid-season from Chicago to Colorado, but we could not ignore the season he put together, and he really deserved that nomination. Moving on at right D, we have Big Lou 69 from San Diego, a 23-3 record. 3 goals, 26 assists, 29 points, plus 47, 16 PIMs, 133 giveaways, and 56 takeaways. When this guy got nominated for the All-Star game and put in the All-Star game, I was like, who the fuck is this guy? But, I mean, I looked into his stats, and, man, he had an incredible season on San Diego, so good on him. And rounding out the Western lineup, we have in net, you guys can probably fucking guess this one, Grandpa Puff, 420 from Stockton, 38-11-3 record, and 1.65 goals against average, with an incredible 84.8 save percentage, 600 shots against with 509 saves, 91 goals against, and 9 shutouts on the season. An incredible season by him. Really helped backstop Stockton to a ton of big wins, and man, he really had an awesome season. This is your West lineup of the season. I felt everyone really on this list really deserved to get a nomination and a shout out. We tried to do, we did do one player from each team. No team is repeated. But let's discuss, guys. What do you guys think?
Oh, just to back off or back up Grandpa, all the shutouts I believe were all against playoff teams. So, I mean, someone of that caliber playing against, because I saw it in Darcy's write-up. I mean, give a shout out to Darcy in his write-up. But yeah, 9 shutouts against 9 playoff teams. That's incredible. So, it's going to be an interesting series. I mean, we'll get into that later. But yeah, Grandpa, comes in clutch.
Two things that stand out to me. First off, Grandpa putting up those kind of numbers is good. Is good on any season. But it is fucking extraordinary in today's NHL. It is not easy to play goalie. I've seen the best goalies absolutely crumble because of how unpredictable the puck is, how hard it is to play goalie. The numbers are unreal. If I saw them on NHL 13, 14, 15, I'd be like, yeah, all right, those are good numbers. But on NHL 18, forget it. It's insane.
The other thing to note about Grandpa's stats is his 3 overtime losses are against Manitoba, which, in my opinion, trying not to be biased, should not have gone to overtime in the first place. San Diego, another top team, and Cleveland, another top team. And it feels like in all those situations, going back to Manitoba, he's stealing them a point. Like, put aside all those wins he's probably stolen for that team, but the fact that he can stand on his head long enough to give his team a chance is just, it's insane in today's game, like you said.
Yeah, he's incredible. I think goaltending really changed when they got rid of the anticipation stick and switched it to the
huge
auto save.
You can't do that anymore. You'll slide.
Yeah, and that's really when goaltending changed, and it took a lot of guys a long time to adapt. I mean, even I was a good goalie in NHL 13, but now that's what it was. Everyone could be a good goalie, and now it's just like the talent pool is so picked thin. But I mean, Stockton really got a great goalie.
Exactly, yeah. At $500K too.
Yeah. But there's 5 other guys here to talk about.
I was going to get into that. Hammy was a guy that was he not in the All-Star game?
He was, yeah.
He was. Okay, I won't say that then. But what I will say is 18 playoff teams, you said, Josh?
18 playoff teams.
I think he played 19. I looked at it today. I think it was 19.
Well,
Was it 19? I might have miscounted. That could have been.
regardless, here's the thing I'll say about that is that I've looked like I looked at stats a lot when I did my write up yesterday, and I looked at fourth stats. I've looked at even like I thought, man, I'm curious. I look at my own teammates. I look at Cloud and Dunks. I'm thinking, I wonder if they'd make a case for Norris. Are they good? Had they had good enough seasons? And when I look, you guys only played like 9 or 10 playoff teams. But the problem is that's not necessarily your fault. Who would have predict at the beginning of the season that some of these teams wouldn't have been in playoffs? It kind of was a surprise to some of us. Some key ones are like, I thought Chicago was an easy playoff team. Texas didn't have a bad Texas was a playoff team in any other division. So if you lost to them, there goes your chance of playing a playoff team. Flint, I didn't even think the Thunderbirds were all that bad. Hartford, despite how bad of a season they had, they beat some good teams. I could name a bunch of bad. Belleville, they had Johansson. That man would steal those guys' games. You talk about a goalie that could steal games. I know I'm bragging about my own player, but I mean I've played against them against the Sens, and their 5 skaters were horrible.
But yeah, you acquired him at deadline for a reason, right? So
right. What was another one? Syracuse didn't even do that bad. Bridgeport. I mean, I could go on all day about how many good teams that didn't make the playoffs. People want to say the AHL's weak, but in my opinion, man, there were some good teams that weren't make the playoffs, and it won't come towards you guys when it comes to awards. People are going to say, well, they only played 9 playoff teams.
That's why I tried the criteria. That's a different story for another day, but the criteria outlined for that just...
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean to turn this into a tangent, but I mean, like, as far as the criteria, like you said, I mean, it should be more than playoff, non-playoff teams. You should look at the lines that they're playing.
Right. Yeah, but what I'm saying is that you can't help it. You can't help it, right?
You play shitters on a playoff team, and you can be playing the top line of
the thing is team. So I don't, like I said, this doesn't need to turn into a tangent, but if you look at it, we don't measure playoff and non-playoff teams all season long. So at one point, Rockford was a playoff team for a long time, and now they're considered a non-playoff team. Texas, like you said, is a playoff team in any other division, and you could be playing, just a hypothetical standpoint, Stockton or even Manitoba, and if you play their third line every time, that's got to be a different view than playing Lorenzo and Breezy, or I'm Just a Squid, or JVR and OCB Bombay. You know what I'm saying? And it's like They just go through the schedule and say, oh, playoff team, non-playoff team. And I can't stand that, because how can you know who's going to be in the playoffs from week 1 to 4?
Yep, I agree with that.
Not only that, but even if you're playing a playoff team, you might not be playing their top line.
Exactly. That's why I don't.
It's hard to say. You could play third lines on top playoff teams all season.
That's what I mean. You can tell when someone's scrub hunting. I get that, but there's also that point where it's like a lot of these people are players and they just get put in the games they're in, and how can they control that?
The biggest one that's obvious to me is that if you had played Providence in the last 2 weeks, clearly they were hurting in any talent, any aspect.
Yeah,
but if you played them twice and you absolutely shit stomped them, that's 2 wins on playoff teams.
Yep. That exactly. Even Lehigh at one point, people were going in there not to say, "Hey, playoff team." They were going, "Hey, let's steamroll them." But they're not in that sense. But that's what people's idea was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know like Chris. I mean, my availability and JVR's availability are both fucking terrible. So, I mean, you just threw us out there when we could match up because we both like playing together. But I don't know, like it's tough there, and we played with Bombay, so I don't know how many playoff teams Bombay played against. But to me, Bombay stuck out because he made our lines of the week twice. He had, I think, like the 5th least amount of giveaways in all of the league of players who played more than 20 games.
As a center, that's a very responsible play style.
Dude, I love Bombay so much. He's my Portuguese buddy, you know that. But I could go on and on about how great he is. But I mean, Big Lou 69 and Wally Mack too, incredible players. Wally Mack got traded to us, and then we flipped him to Colorado because we really wanted Ricky. But you know,
and Neil. Come on, gotta give respect to Neil.
I like Neil. I don't mind playing with Neil.
Neil's my boy.
Yeah, if he'd stop smashing controllers, he'd be phenomenal. But Jesus Christ, the dude has some rage issues. But I mean, and then fourth, of course, we got you on the show. We'll talk about you plenty later. But I mean, one loss on the season. You had an unbelievable season. Who did you lose to, by the way? I'm sure you know.
Colorado, my buddy 7th, and when it happened, he said, "I hope you never lose a game for the rest of the season, so your only loss can be against me." And he's like my best friend in real life, and so I don't hear the end of it. And it was actually, what's even worse is it was the one game we were without Lingros, and because we put him in Tucson that week. Don't ask why, but then he's also on us saying like, "Oh, your only loss all season was without Daddy."
Oh my God, that would trigger me into oblivion.
All right, let's move along here. Get to the East. Dave, who do we got?
Alrighty, and for the East, our left winger is LG McDonald, who went 17-6-3 on the week. 40 goals, 47 assists for 87 points. He had a plus 34 and only 10 penalty minutes, 269 giveaways to 59 takeaways. At center, we've got RG Breezy with Laval, who went 18-5-3 on the season. 32 goals, 53 assists, a lot of assists to goal ratio. 85 points, 32 penalty minutes, or plus 32. 10 penalty minutes, 56% face-off percentage with 276 giveaways and 64 takeaways. Right-wing hero X Identity with Binghamton, who had 15-8-2 on the season, 34 goals, 34 assists, goal scorer and a passer, plus 25, 14 penalty minutes with 231 giveaways and 61 takeaways. On left D, we have Volt with Hershey, who went 18-4-5, 3 goals, 23 assists, 26 points, plus 36, 14 penalty minutes, and a very insanely good giveaway takeaway ratio with 127 giveaways and 92 takeaways. That is very, very good to have, especially this season with stat being as broken as it is. On right D, we have BS Ditka with Rochester, who went 17-6-5, 1 goal, 25 assists for 26 points, plus 23, 10 penalty minutes, 119 giveaways, 64 takeaways. For goalie, we have Scopes, who played for Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins. That's a mouthful. Who went 31-13-6, 2.16 goals against average, 81.9 save percentage, 6 shutouts on this season as well. So another high amount of shutouts. Played very good goalie. I think I played against him once this season, and it's a very tough game to play because I can't even remember if we won or not, but he played phenomenal. It was a struggle in the first period to score on him. But what do you guys think about those players?
Well, first off, I don't like that you called the Penguins city Wilkes-Barre. I'm kind of triggered by that.
I take offense to that.
I have to ask you.
I'm Canadian. Shut up.
Were you about to ask, Josh?
Oh my God!
Go ahead, Sean. I didn't mean to cut you off. I had to say.
I appreciate it.
How do you say it?
Also, I didn't want to point this
Wilkes-Barre.
out, but now that we're going to point
That's
this
what
out,
I said. Okay?
you said Brody went 17-6-3 on the week. That's pretty impressive. But no, in all
Did I?
seriousness, yeah, he did. He did.
It's a pretty good week.
We're still struggling from last week, but
Is it around the horn that they do the where they have all the fuck ups on the show on Sports Center?
yeah, no, it's PTI. They have
PTI. That's it. Pardon the interruption. Yeah.
All right, let's not plug another.
Dave's segment,
anyway.
the fuck up segment. Okay,
Yeah,
let's just get on with it, all right?
Yeah, Down syndrome, Dave's mishaps. No, anyway, Brody, what
Down
can I
his
say?
corner.
He had to play with Mackey all season, so you know his backpack. You know he's the squid of the East. He had to put Mackey in his backpack, and I don't know how many playoff teams they play off the top of my head, but to play with Mackey and actually play with playoff teams, you're doing something right, and you're putting up those kind of numbers. So I'd say Brody, season that he had usually sticks out from the ones that he's had in the past. So I don't know what got
NHL
into Brody,
18 was
maybe
good for
because
you.
his game changer is playing better, but
I normally am one to shit on Brody quick, but
You gave him cheat codes.
before the season started, I saw him playing the game a lot. so he got a lot of practice.
I like where this is going.
And I'll tell you what, man. I give Brody too much of a hard time. But seriously, everyone kept saying, man, Brody's a different player this game. He's much better, much better. Well, he clearly proved it. I mean, that's a really good season.
Here's the way to view Brody's season is, to me personally, like, he's always been that third line guy. Like last season on Tucson, he was on the third line, and he's had like average numbers. But this season, regardless, he's played bad teams, or I haven't looked, just like Gareth said, I don't know how many playoff teams non-playoffs, but he's had an outstanding season. So no matter how you look at it, this is probably his best NHL series for me personally to look at that he's had. So regardless who he's played, he's obviously figured the game out.
He's been virgining it up, playing tons of clubs. So.
Yeah, and the rest of that lineup, man, Breezy's had a solid season. Binghamton had a lot of good forwards, man. When I was doing those write-ups, man, they had so many good seasons. Like Sanctify had a good season.
Sanctify, man. He's got insane takeaways too. Like he's got like 97 as a forward.
Yeah, that's insane. And another one was, and honestly, like I'm not trying to like make him feel bad at all, but Debo has never had anything close to a good season. What a fucking turnaround. Like he had a great season as well.
But see, and that's a chemistry thing, right? That's where you take a skill level hit and do a chemistry, because Sanctify wanted to play with Debo.
But he also played. Was he with Sanctify on Bakersfield?
Yeah, it was Sanctify, Debo, and Giroux, and they were all friends.
So they stayed together when they went to
Debo had to stay with Sanctify. That was his term, and that's just like being comfortable with somebody you play with, and that's where you play best.
Absolutely. And defensively, Volt's always had great numbers in the AHL.
NHL defenseman.
What's that?
He's probably an NHL defenseman. Like,
I am not going to comment on that because I haven't traded him in 2 weeks, but let's not talk about that. Yeah. No, Volt does well, man. He puts up good numbers every season. And Breezy, the life of Laval's attack, really. I mean, him and Lorenzo do good shit, man. They're good. And got to give a shout out to my boy Ditka. That man is. People were saying who at $6 million, but now you see why. He's a very solid defenseman. Plays great defense. Dunks?
Well, I picked the defense because both these guys hold a soft spot in my heart. I've played with both of them in teams and clubs and whatever it was, but way back in the day or recently. Volt and I went through the season 25 Milwaukee disaster together and somehow pulled that team to Game 7 conference championship conference. No, we didn't win the conference, but Game 7 final in the conference championship to the eventual cup winners. That's one thing that really sticks out to me. I gotta say though, for the right wing in the East, no one really like. I picked hero identity, but no one really stuck out. Like really had an incredible season where they were just an easy shoe-in. Like you look at Brody and Breezy, who both put up 85 or more points, and then you got hero identity, who only put up 68. I don't know. It was a really tough decision, to be honest, to pick that position, but Scopes had an incredible season. I really want to talk about him. Probably the only guy who had he really doesn't. Who he's probably the runner-up for the Bastion Award to Grandpa. I mean, there's no way Grandpa doesn't win it, but Scopes had an incredible season, and he really deserves a lot more recognition for helping that Wilkes-Barre team, because I mean they're not a phenomenal team by any means, but I mean he backstopped that team to a lot of wins.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to get to that too, how Scopes was overlooked. I mean, not on the show because we did mention him in lines before, but I mean his numbers are pretty impressive. They are good numbers for a goalie.
And I picked Breezy because he always quotes when I say I'm fat in the chat box. And I love that.
I love your choices. Or choices because of personal connections.
I only picked Brody because I applied for Bog. Like,
oh, that's fun, man. Shouldn't even admit to that. Like, really? Come on.
It's corrupt. Everything's corrupt. No, everyone here really deserves a lot of recognition. They all had incredible seasons. So shout out to everybody who got highlighted here tonight.
All right. Okay. That's the lines, gents. We're going to move on here. We're going to do the interview with I'm Fourth Line Worthy. Fourth Line, you ready? You look at him smiling.
I'm ready.
All right, man. Let's do it. Interview's coming up next. Don't want to miss it. Welcome back as we are here for the interview segment. Haven't ran one of these in a while, but I am very excited to run this one. It is with our Season 28 President's Trophy winner and General Manager of the Manitoba, as we like to say, Meese. Before you talk about yourself, Fourth, what are your thoughts on the Meese, on the way we say that? I love it.
It's actually kind of funny because before you guys said it, Lingros and his buddy Lyons, who we had through trading in the offseason, we had a chat called the Manitoba Meese. That's what they called him. So it was just kind of funny how you guys knew about that too.
That's awesome. That's
yeah.
Like the connection there. All right. So let's get to it. Fourth, as I got 6 questions for you. I hope that's not too much. Hope I'm not going to fry your brain here, man.
Let's hope not.
We gotta get ready for the biggie first round. All right. First question. First and foremost, a big congratulations on your President's Trophy, as I mentioned again. With some great regular season success, do you feel that it's wise to make changes for the playoffs or stick to what's been working for the Moose all season?
So I get when I was reading your write-up earlier about, separating the depth a little bit. I'm a chemistry guy. Always have been. I learned from season 25, which was my rough patch of management, that you can't get top players to play together all the time. Doesn't always work. So Jared, Straight Ink, and myself always play together. We had Lingros in season 26, so we knew that was good. And then same with Rectifying Gilbsy, they're cousins. That's another chemistry thing. Our third line is a little bit of a mix-up, but separating the lines for us at this point in time doesn't make sense because, like I said, 2 out of our 3 lines on a daily basis play the game together. Not because they have to, because they want to. So we're going to go that route and having maybe 1 powerhouse line as opposed to 2 stabled lines. But I'm confident in our D-core, in the offensive depth we have, to be able to manage what we did all season.
If I would overlay a GIF right now, it would be Will Ferrell saying, "Nope, I don't believe you." Sunday, and then you would go a while going, "What a scumbag!"
Yeah.
But no, yeah, absolutely. Chemistry is very key, very key. People want to know where they're going to be, and that's important.
We also got blessed a little bit with Kronwall, Kabrick being here last season, and then for our defensive depth, and then we knew about Large and Lusky. So like our D, and then we had Lingro. So pretty much 5 or 6 D men were already here in the off season, and they've already been comfortable playing with each other.
Yep, absolutely. So. That's good. Good. Question number 2. For the managers that didn't make playoffs, what would you recommend for them to do during the off season, preseason tactics, strategies? People want to say it's a nerd. You're a nerd, but you gotta admit, during the offseason, preseason, you got to think, what are you going to do? What's going to work in the cap? What are some ideas that you recommend for managers that have struggled this season and need to have a better plan of attack coming into the next season?
My honest opinion is cut the shit with the snipes. It doesn't work. I don't snipe ever in bidding. Doesn't work like that. Focus on your players. Go for your consistency of players. Like, you can't go for that one player's had one good season because 99.9% of the time they're carried. And then you get paydays and you get involved in that bidding war happiness of striking up. You got to go with who you know. The scouting is a good recommendation, obviously, but at the same time, anybody on a certain day can have a good day. And if it just happens to be that day they have a good game, you waste your cap into that player who turns out on a regular basis is not that good. And if there's one player you like, you got to ask them who they like playing with. Whether you like them or not, that's who they want to play with. That's comfortable. It's the same situation with Debo and Sanctify, where alone you wouldn't take Debo, but if it's worth to get Sanctify and get him Debo, look how it turns out.
I agree with that. That's one level of management you and I will agree with. My tactic's always been get in and get the fuck out, because
that's it. You got a cap limit. Jared was different. We had a way lower cap limit, but that's the chemistry thing of I know what's worth to get Jared, and you got to know what's worth to get somebody, because if that other team got stuck with Jared, you really took a hit. That's like almost 30-year cap on one player. That
Now I'm going way back, and this is back in VHL when I took an AHL team the last season before everything collapsed and we came here to the beautiful land of LG. But I had all 500K players. Everyone was ragging on my owner saying, what the hell is your GM doing? I had GB for 500K and a bunch of other guys. And
that's it. It's the 500K Warriors and people. It's just about who you know. Stop going for big name players. You got to get
pissed on people, and it caught everyone by surprise. That's
exactly.
And get out. I agree with you wholeheartedly. So let's turn ourselves towards the playoff picture. So obviously, outside of yourselves, everyone has confidence in their own team. I think I'm going to win the cup. You think you're going to win the cup.
Exactly.
15 other teams in the playoffs. Who do you feel is the most dangerous for a legitimate Calder run?
Okay, so alone. So like obviously outside of myself, because like you said, I think I'm going to win the cup. You think you're going to win the cup. Stockton thinks you're going to win the cup. It's the same thing. But I can't precise one exact team. But if I had to choose from the East, it's got to be Hershey with the Wilkes-Barre hit that we talked earlier. That gives their first round a little bit easier, and with their off-season or with their trade deadline trades, their forward depth's insane. They're another chemistry team. You got Mike Shea and Frostick play together, not because they have to, because they want to. Same with Crosby and Hope's downfall. You got Broussard, former Eddie Shore winner. Buddha's always been good. Two solid goalies, and then the addition of Dan Hutton and all of them. They're just a team with the East being a little weaker. Nothing against RG Breeze and Lorenzo, but at the end of the day, the depth is what's going to bring you to the Calder, if not win the Calder. From the West, it's two teams, not just because I'm on the show, but whoever wins that Stockton-San Jose series is probably the biggest matchup that I'm scared for, just because you got Grandpa Puff and then Squid and that crotch line. But from you guys have the depth of it, and I haven't faced yourself with Malcheski, and I know you guys have upset teams and then stuck around with the top teams, so it's just one of those things that I don't want to look into or psych ourselves out, but those are definitely two teams that I would want to see in the Western Conference Final if we get there.
See, that's the manager of me thinking. I'm throwing my third line at you all season with dunks.
Yeah.
Hang on, because you knew that was going to trigger me, and you knew you was going to get something out of me, you fucker.
You studying me or something?
Bullshit.
Yeah, man. Hershey is. I agree with you. I think if Hershey could have contended in either conference, where we could say Providence or any of those other teams in the East, maybe not so much. Hershey, without doubt, as of right now, they have absolutely, the key word you used there was depth. 100%. I agree with that. Your mic is muted if you're trying to talk.
Oh, oops. I don't want to get off topic here, but it's like, I mean, most of us can say in the league that the East is easier. So like I said, it's like one of those deadly teams that if you put us or Stockton or San Jose in the East, they got an easy road, and then it comes down to just one more week. And at the end of the day, it just comes down to 4 wins. And it's a video game, so one good week gets you the Calder. So Hershey's got a really easy road, I find, to go to that Calder. And then all they need is that one good week. And that's where
Hilly gone.
Exactly. It's like Cleveland when they lost Syracuse. They had a battle all through, and Syracuse had an easy walk last season. I mean, Tucson upset, but then Rochester also had an easy path to win the whole thing. It's just the East always seems to have the easy route there, and there's one good team there that always gets to go there and don't have to worry about any upsets.
Yeah.
The season that it was so long. It was last year, like last calendar year, when was it Bake's team made it to the finals and then got swept
against Stockton. Again, best team from the East goes, but then gets destroyed by the West.
Yeah.
For once.
I do remember that, yeah.
So it's just
And one thing I'm sure my boys won't like me saying, if Hershey was in my division, we wouldn't have been in playoffs.
That's what I mean. It's like, and it's like that top team
and not made playoffs.
There's always a deadly team, and it's like, hey, we get to the Calder. There's never, maybe there's going to be an upset. 99.9% of the time over the past 4 seasons, that best team out of the East has gone, but not necessarily the best team from the West has gone.
Yep, agreed. Absolutely agreed. So my next this is another strategy point. I'm trying to blow up the Manitoba management and cause a little bit of heat here. So you got to pick one. You can't say, well, one does this, one does. If there was a manager right now for you, and I had to say, here you go, I got to gut both their heads. Which one are you choosing to live? Which one do you rely on the most? The one that's come through for you this season? Or are you a standalone guy and say, fuck off, I don't need yous?
Well, funny story. Since season 26, I guess, I've been a standalone guy, and I've always made that mistake of making the wrong move at deadline or trying to increase depth. But this season, it was actually supposed to be Jared as my AGM, but I brought Lingros in as a strategy of defense bidding, weak pool, bring him in, 0 cap hit, risk Jared, whatever he costs, we're going to bring in, made him AGM. And he's been my go-to. He's my line mate. He knows depth. I trust him for who's good, who's not good. And there's been some moves that I was going to do, didn't do because he didn't want to, and right now it's panning out. So this is the first season, and actually my best season, that I've listened to somebody else, and it's, for now, paying off.
Yeah, it's people sometimes just take management as a free spot, but man, they really are to talk some sense into you. Dunks has done it quite a bit, and as much of a hothead he is, and how many times I've had to calm him down, Malcheski has always had good points for me, and I'm sure Dunks can attest to that. He knew his stuff, and he helped me, and I mean, yeah, having that manager not only have thumbs, availability, and the ability
exactly
to just have common sense and know the player pool, it's almost as good as thumb skill sometimes.
Exactly. That's why sometimes like the management spot, like one of them's got to have thumb skill, but if you can get somebody with like both, that's just like, that's a 2-in-1 right there, because you get in those situations sometimes where you're like, I need to make a move, teams are getting better, but sometimes it's not worth it, and that's where that second voice comes in.
Got Dunks.
I was just gonna say, Malcheski plays the game so much. He knows just about everybody in the AHL, and he'll tell you straight up, oh, that guy sucks, or that guy doesn't do this well, or et cetera, et cetera. I know myself as an AGM in the past, I've always been the guy who just kind of comes in as the skill guy and goes in as a free contract. But this season, I kind of grabbed a more hands-on role and made a couple trades to help Bryson and talked to a couple teams, played with a couple people and stuff like that. Just because, it's like you said, Fourth. It's a lot more valuable if you know those guys and
exactly,
you know who's good, and you can be more of an asset to your team, and that's what I'm looking to do. Especially with my availability was fucking dog shit this year.
No, Dunks, did you say you talked to other people because you wanted to? Or because I'm such a lovable face that all other 30 managers just love talking to me? Which one is
Everybody hates talking to you and comes to me. That's what it is.
Thank you for clarifying. I wanted to make sure that point was straight.
I had so many people message me and were like, dude, Bryson's just so unreasonable. And I'm like, well...
That's me, unreasonable. All right, so we're going to ask the last question here, Fourth, and yeah, I'm losing my train of thought. Sorry. We kind of mentioned a little bit earlier during our lines. You see people do this every season. Oh, I've been away for 6 months, and this is how the league's come to. This guy's the best, and just absolutely shit on the talent pool. But realistically, people move on with their lives. They have new things come up. It happens, and then new people have to step up. And, that's the part of a manager, finding those gems and whatnot, finding those new faces. Obviously, the impressive numbers you had and how you did as a manager this season, you could say it sucked and it was easy for you. You only had one loss. But realistically, what are your thoughts on the AHL's, not only the talent pool, but the future of the AHL? Obviously, we're the B league compared to the NHL. You know what I mean? We're not the top league, but we're also a very important part that plays into the future of LG. So what are your thoughts on moving forward of the AHL's every aspect, whether it's community on their media? Obviously, we thought it's a good season for media, and talent-wise.
So the talent-wise, I think, is going the right direction, and by means of, I don't think the talent pool is lacking. I think the management, and no offense to the other managers in the NHL, I think the management skill is lacking, because you take the top-tier teams' depth away by just adding an extra $500K or like $1 million on some players. They can't go there. They go to your team, and that separates the depth because it's a top heavy league. But there's some teams with, 3 lines or 2 lines even of really good players, and if you separate them, easily be top lines. And it sucks that some top end NHL players have like left the league, but at the end of the day, the point is to get, the once they leave, you have AHL players go up to the NHL to like make a career. That's what the AHL is there for. And then you still got players like Stockton. I mean, a lot of them are in their first season, considerable rookie years, but they show they can hang. And not only can they hang, but they're top AHL players. And not because the talent pool sucks, but because they're good players. And that's just literally how it is. So I don't like how people say the talent pool is gone. It's not. It's just I find at some point the effort and management skills and the blind bidding is what's ruining the competition in the league.
Well, the LG is almost like its own organization of an NHL team.
Exactly.
Think of it this way. So Stoner, he was an AHL GM last season, correct?
Yeah.
So he goes up to the NHL, and look who comes up, Stockton. I mean, it's just
exactly. It's a sub out, and then so
right. I mean, I'm sure there is some parity in between, but overall, yeah, I agree with that.
It's kind of like you take away a skilled player to the NHL, but somebody else gets an opportunity, and then they can make a name for themselves. And there's like not even a handful. There's like a lot of players that this is their first season in the AHL that are going to have a career here now, for sure.
Absolutely, I agree with that. But all right, we're gonna end this interview segment, my man. It was good talking to you. Any closing comments you'd like to make?
No, I'm gonna dip out. I got some stuff going on, but I appreciate it on the show. Definitely gonna tune in for the rest of this because I always watch, especially the top 10. I like hearing that stuff. And again, good luck in playoffs to San Jose and everybody else. Go Meese. I hope that happens, but so I appreciate it again though. It was a lot of fun.
Anytime, man. We were glad to have you on the show. It was a good time, and good luck to you the rest of the for the whole playoffs.
All right, man. Thank you.
All right. Welcome back. As we have lost our companion, fourth line worthy, but the show must go on, and it will. We are going to do a new segment. I'm excited for this. This is going to be great. It is playoff analysis. This is where I'm going to talk about the series, who we got, and we're going to go ahead and pick them. Did you guys ever watch Sunday Night Football? It's just like that. Had the host talks about the matchup a little bit and says, who do you got? And they go around the table. So we're going to do it just like that. Dunk's giving those brows one more time, and it's going to be trouble for you.
See me with the hands.
Yeah. 2 easy payments of try me.
That's my best joke.
I love it. It's a good one right now. So, all right, let's get to it, boys. First up, we're going to start in the East, and we've got Lehigh Valley coming out of nowhere, taking first place, getting the number 1 seed, and they're going against the Providence Bruins, the number 4 seed, barely holding on to that playoff spot. Look, guys, we've got it's a pretty obvious series. It would be an absolute choke. And it's funny because we talk about Lehigh being a team that was supposedly exploding during trade deadline, but now they're an East favorite besides I would obviously think the Bears in this division. Who do you got? Let's start with, we're going to go Dunks, Dave, and Sean. Dunks, you're first.
I just voted on the website, actually. I got Lehigh in six. I think Providence will steal a game or two. I think, honestly, when Eichel plays, they might lose, to be honest. I mean, it's not a shot against him. He's just not a great forward. He's had 0 points in a couple games where they've won. But Night Owl stepped up and did big things for them that we traded to them. So I think they'll win the series, but it's gonna be a good one. Better than what people think.
Dave?
Yeah, I've actually voted to Lehigh Valley in 6 for almost the exact same reason. They had a surge near the end of the season there where they had a good run of wins, and Providence just kind of mediocre, I guess. So I think just the momentum going into the playoffs is going to win them this series.
Garris?
I really want to say Providence in 7 because fuck Eichel, to be honest. But I think the big X factor for Lehigh Valley here is going to be Darcy, obviously. So if Darcy plays well, I'm going to say Lehigh Valley in 6. I mean, I think, like we said, LGAHL is going to go 0-2, 0 points, -3. Good stat line. But,
points, -3. That's a close. Those are close games.
Yeah, I mean, well, LGAHL is weighing them down, and Lehigh Valley is good. Darcy's probably going to play in those games or the backup. But, yeah, I'm going to say Lehigh Valley in 6. I was going to go out of spite, but, I got to go with my gut here and say Lehigh Valley. But still, fuck LGAHL.
Darcy's going to put the whole team on his back. Great player, but I'll admit they've got some good talent there. Like you mentioned, Dunks with, yeah, I'm going to be disappointed. Night Owl, don't say it. Night Owl. Night Owl's a very good defenseman, man. They've got a good team. Providence just hurt too much by the that second tag scandal. So I'm going to go with what my prediction said in the first place. I'm going to have the number 1 seed moving on in the Eastern Atlantic. In a 5-game series, 4-1 for Lehigh Valley. Next up in the Eastern Atlantic, we've got before the news broke earlier. I thought this was going to be an awesome series. It is the Hershey Bears number 2 seed against the number 3 Wilkes-Barre Scranton. Now on the site it does say that but Hershey has won their head-to-head 3-1 against and honestly I think Wilkes-Barre is one of the early in the show. I think they're one of the best teams in the East. All 3 lines have talent. Wilkes-Barre losing Hilly is going to be a really big blow. I know they're going to become fighting. It should be a good series. Dunks. What do we got? What do we got?
So a lot of people say that thinking that Hershey's going to just roll over these guys now. A lot of people got to remember that. My team lost Dan Hutton after the trade deadline. We really struggled going into the playoffs. And then going in the playoffs, and then we surprised some people. The finals. They got a lot of great players. They got Fox, Scopes, and Net that we highlighted earlier. Pafer 89 QC, phenomenal winger. And they got Undershot too. Put together a great season. So I don't think we should count them out. I don't know. I don't want to make a prediction on this one. I think it goes all 7 games. But I can't see one side being that much better than the other.
I lost.
What's up?
You got to pick one. It's by law.
Suck my ass. All right. Well, I'm gonna go with my buddy Vol. If it makes Game 7, I think he's gonna be a big difference maker in that.
Dave?
I'm casting my votes as I had Hershey in 7 games. I do Hilly be losing Hilly is a big blow to the same time. But at the same time, I mean, he's going to pull away some wins with first team, but I don't think he's going to win them the series if he plays. I think there's still a very competitive team without him, and they can call up a guy. I'm sure they've had good ECUs, and they know they have a guy on their team. I mean, I don't know for sure. They might not. They might not. I did pick Hershey in 7 just because I think Hershey's slightly better, and I think that's what it's going to boil down to. Is the defense of the teams.
Sean?
I'm going to say Hershey in 7. I would have said Wilkes-Barre in 7. If Hilly didn't defend, if Hilly didn't defend, or unless they somehow get Hilly's level. But you still can't factor out Scopes. Their D-core is so strong. Yeah, like you said, Fox. Like all the players, Dunks that said mentioned. But all 3 lines, top to bottom, Hershey. Every time Hershey. When I play Hershey, I play against Frost and Mike Shea. I don't know. I can't beat them, and it's been like this since season 21, season 22. It's been that long. So I mean, yeah. Crosby's done a good job. I can't see Wilkes-Barre moving on. Unfortunately, if they don't have Hilly.
I'm gonna have to stick with what I put in my predictions before the Hilly ban. I said 6-game series. Hershey takes it 4-2. Hershey takes it 4-2. I'm even gonna say Dan Hutton has 2 awesome games. The reason why I say that is you lose a player like Hilly, a good player, very good. Everyone's gonna have to move up. Everyone's gonna have to move up. Second liner become your first. Second liner become become your second. Third become your second. Wilkes-Barre's going to suffer. And Dan Hutton, suffer. And Dan Hutton on a third line for Hershey. Those are going to be really easy games for Hershey. But I think 1 and 2 line matchups, I think they're going to be close games. I think they're going to be close games. Still think it's going to be a very good series. Still think it's going to be a very good series. Hershey winning it. But I see Hershey winning it in 6 and not going to 7. Definitely, Scopes is going to be called upon. Scopes is going to be called upon quite frequently. So next up, we're going to move to the Eastern North. And the first matchup, another really good matchup. I think these are two very good matchups. People say how weak the East is to the West. Well, these are all 4 teams that I think could make a good run if they play their cards right. And the first one we've got is the Laval Rockets, number 1 seed, and the Rochester Americans, the number 4. What do we got, Dunks? You're first.
So I look over Rochester, the Americans team, and it looks like a team from UOHL back in my olden days with all these guys. All these guys played in the UOHL. I know every single one of them. They got 2 solid lines, and that third line is kind of meh, but they are a West Coast line, so we got to keep that in mind. I think they can squeeze out a win or 2 in that series, and I think it goes all the way to 7. I just think Laval has the edge in the Game 7 lineup. With Jesus Christ, Provorov. Who else do they have? Motomizer and a couple other guys that are really solid. So that's my prediction: Laval in 7.
Dave,
I actually had Laval in 5. Rochester's a good team for sure, but just looking at I don't know. I just feel like the Rocket have a little bit more, like, if the first line plays the first line, the Rocket have the edge. The second line, I still feel like the Rocket have the edge. Like, they're all going to be quite close games in my opinion, but looking at their head-to-head games this season, they've all been blowouts. So whoever's going to score the most goals, I mean, it sounds pretty obvious, but I feel like whoever scores the most goals is going to win. But no, I think the top line of the Rockets a little bit too good for the top line of the Americans, and that's not saying anything bad about the Americans. I don't know. Rocket in 5.
I want to agree with you, but I know, just like looking at the roster, Nazi, Jovo, Bill Brasky, Sizzle, I believe, OEL. Those are all, just offhand, those are all West Coast guys. I mean, that's an entire line, and that can really kill a team in playoffs, is that connection. People just bitch about it and let it get in their head. But I could see why you say that as well.
Sean?
That was a hot take, Dave, that you need to score more goals than your opponent.
I mean, you can score 32 goals in a game and then lose 1-0 the rest of the week.
Huge, if true. Anyway, I'd have to say real-life friend Provorov, known him since high school. I'm going to say Laval in 6. I mean, Ditka and Jobo, 2 really good defensemen. I mean, Breezy and Lorenzo are key, but you also have to factor in their lower lines. So I'm going to say Laval in 6. I mean, their decor is too strong. I think Blue Line King might lose them a game or 2, but other than that, I'm going to say Laval in 6.
When I looked at these 2 teams, I thought to myself, it's not even close. And I hate to say that because I like the Americans. I think they have good management. I think Ditka is very solid. Clearly made our lines of the season. But I just, everyone could go on about Lorenzo and Breezy. They both do great things on the ice together. They're both amazing forwards. The second and third line even stack up well against Rochester's first and second lines. I see Rochester getting 1 game out of them. A 1 win out of Laval, but it's going to be a 5 games for me. Laval takes it 4-1, and even a better note, their defense, and Dunks, you didn't even name them all. They've got Provorov, Motomizer, Vacuum Cube, Grocery Stick. And the only thing that brings him down is that shitter Blue Line King. Christ, I hope they IR him the whole playoff run.
Get the stack, you stupid bitch.
He is dumber than a frickin' doorknob. Look at this picture. Please. What a fucking...
Personal attack.
Fine. I don't. Forget it.
Time out. Everyone calls Bryce and I fat after they watch this show. If they want to fucking say shit about
Well,
personal
NHL
attacks, they
owner
can
did
suck
call
my ass.
Bryson Fred Flintstone with AIDS one season, so
I wasn't even mad at that. Like how? If you have AIDS, wait, I'm bigger than Fred Flintstone.
yabba dabba AIDS.
I just. All right.
Damn it, Sean, that is time out. That is it took 9 weeks, but that is the funniest goddamn thing that Sean has ever said in his life.
Yeah, and you know what's bad is Simon is he referenced it from someone else.
That's true, but you know what? I give him credit where credit's due. All right, moving on. Who do we have next?
Yeah, Laval, man. Squad's too good. Defense is way too good. I'm even missing a D man. Provorov, Grocery Stick, Motomizer, Vacuum Cube. There's one more. There were 5 of them. I was like, any of them could have been a starting D man on most teams. So a solid defense, man. I see them doing good things. So next up in the Eastern North, we have a very good series here. I'm excited for this one. It is the number 2 Utica Comets against the number 3 Binghamton Devils. Interesting fact: Binghamton had 2 more wins than Utica, but because Utica had 9 overtime losses, it gave them the number 2 seed, giving them those first 2 games home ice advantage. I'm going to continue that after you guys give it your predictions. Dunks, go ahead and start it.
Yeah. So Shoe Swag on Max, Genetic, Mackey, and Brody really round out the offense for Utica quite nicely. I don't know a ton of their guys on D, but name is Ricky, who's been a solid goalie for them all season. Tactic Mario had a good season. He got highlighted by us. Arisso as their AGM is just weird. He's not very good, but otherwise, I really got to say I don't see this series going long. I would say that it's going to be Utica in 5-6 max.
Dave?
Well, I don't know. I to be honest, I don't know a lot of these guys too well. And it's odd. Like I know some of the better guys that I've played with before. And as good as a season as LG McDonald is having, I feel like Utica has a slight edge on defense, and the Devils have a slight edge on offense. So it was actually really tough in a completely unbiased decision because like I said, I don't know a lot of the guys on the teams, but I feel like the Devils are going to win it in 7 games. Quite an opposite prediction to Dunks, though.
Garris?
I mean, I do love Genetic. We go way back when, season 18. Springfield Falcons, grilled cheese waterfalls. But, yeah, what could have been if someone didn't go on a camping trip. But anyway, Tranny and Wonger always find a way every postseason. Make it in, make a run. So with their experience, I'm just going to go on experience alone. If Howie makes it, I'm going to go Binghamton in 6.
Yeah, it's I think Binghamton has too overwhelming of good forwards to compare with Utica. Like I give Brody lots of credit. I give Genetic credit, all of them, and I didn't say Mackey right away because I was going to save him for later. He, as much as I brag on him, as much as I have beef with him, he is a very good manager. He knows how to match up against teams. He definitely does his research, and I definitely would want to say this series would end sooner. But I really just see Mackey playing chess with these guys throughout the series. I see it going to 7, but I see Riva being too good. I see him getting that magic he had at the beginning of the season. Don't get me wrong, Riva's been good all season, but he was especially good in week 1 and 2. I see him bringing that back for the playoffs and sealing that 7th game. It's going to be 7 games to Binghamton. The forwards are way too good on that squad. And I also think Tranny and Wonger are great managers too. Not to take anything away from them. Love my Wonger. Love my Wong. But anyways,
Yeah, Wonger.
love
There you
Wonger,
go.
man. Wonger
Bring it
loves the show. He wants the shout out for the boys.
Drink it in, man.
Drink it in. Okay.
Minus the extra power of the wallpaper to get you the good luck in the series.
All right. Next up in the West Central, we've got the Manitoba Meese versus the Iowa Wild. Number 1 versus number 4. Manitoba, everyone knows the story. We've talked about it enough. Iowa had some ups and downs this season. I was pretty impressed to see them in the playoffs, but I looked at the squad, and they do have a decent squad. Dunks, your first take.
And here we go. So I think this series goes 5 games max, but I predict a sweep. Swanner's a decent left wing. It's tricky, I think, is terrible, as well as a couple other guys they have. But they got Murray on net and AO on D, and I think those two guys can steal a game as well. LGAHL X97 is a phenomenal Frenchy right D. He's done a really good job. So I think they steal a game, but I don't see it going longer than 5. But my prediction is going to be sweep for Manitoba.
Mine, I had Manitoba on 5. Only because looking at their games that they've had this season, there's a 4-2 win, a 3-1 win, and a 4-1 win, which weren't exactly runaway games like we have seen from Manitoba so far this season. It's tough to say, but and this is going to sound harsh, but I feel like if Iowa puts out their top line in a game against Manitoba's third line, they're going to take a win. And I put a line matching into it. Consideration in the 5 game, but it's probably going to go 4. But I made my prediction at 5 for Manitoba.
Sean,
I'm going to say Manitoba. Wow.
Don't die.
Yeah, it's hurting me saying this. I'm going to say Manitoba in 4. I think Game 4 is going to go overtime. I believe X. He's a player to watch on Iowa. I think he's going to make it a lot closer defensively, and probably gets the 4th, and probably going to make it a lot closer.
Yeah, it's not that difficult. It's going to be a sweep. I'm not even second guessing it. You know, Belief, Bear Claw, AO, all pretty good defensemen, but Murray is going to play his ass off. I know nothing would cement him as somebody to recognize if he goes into this series and not only puts it into 5 or 6 or 7 games, but to win it. I know that's what he wants, but the first 2 games, he's gonna come out lights out, and it's just gonna be overwhelming. Manitoba's gonna just pile on the shots, I feel, and I think this series will be over in 2 nights. So I know Fourth probably hates us saying that. Moving on here, this next matchup features the number 2, number 3 team in the West Central. Again,
it's a tough one.
It is. You've got Cleveland Monsters, who, in my opinion, have they been in the East, they would be the best team in the East. But instead, we're talking to them like they're the 3rd best team in the West, and by ranking, I mean. So if they would have played in the East, they would have been number 1 team in the East. But they're not. They're in the West. They're playing Colorado first round. Colorado's got made some pretty good trades. They acquired Wally Mack, who had an awesome season. Could very well be an Eddie Shore finalist. Potsy as well. Those are 2 great defensemen. Split those up. You got 2 pairings that can keep Cleveland in check. So it's offense versus defense this series, Dunks. What do you got?
As much as I like Potter and a couple other guys on Colorado, I gotta swing towards my buddy Gentry's team in Cleveland. I just look at the centers for both teams, to be honest, and I think the centers on Cleveland are light years better than the ones on Colorado, and I think a center is the most important position on the ice. First thoughts are Dublaga. I played with that guy the other night in club, and fuck, is he good, man. He's unbelievable. And then you have Gunwoat, who usually leads the team in points, but kind of took a backseat role this season. And not to the detriment of his team, but he did put together a solid season. I think it's going to be Cleveland in 6, though Cleveland did have a rough go at it the last couple weeks, and Colorado did kind of heat up. I might be wrong here, but I got to go with my gut.
Dave?
I actually pulled up the comparison that the league does for playoff matchups here for this one because I didn't know who would win, and they're identical. Like the face-offs, 51-51, shots, 52-51, time on attack, a differential of like 30 for about 40 seconds on time on attack.
Wow.
Looking on penalty minutes, that's where Cleveland has had a lot. They've had 20 penalty minutes. Colorado has 8. I picked Cleveland in 7, but only if they can keep their penalties to a minimum, because that looks like where they're hurting the most, as being the only thing that's hurting them against Colorado so far. So I have Cleveland at 7.
Sean?
Cleveland in 5. They've always made the playoffs. Wags always sets up their AHL team phenomenally, sending down players. So their offense is too overpowering. Same guys play together every season. I don't think Colorado has been necessarily the same since Ichi and Position Bunk have been called up and all those trades have happened and Horty quit. Say they got better, but Cleveland at 5.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I think Colorado became a better team, but just not enough to hang with Cleveland. Colorado may have won further had they been in the East, but it's too tough. Cleveland just has too good of an attack. Like Dunks mentioned, Dublaga, awesome season for him, and he's going to continue it into the postseason. So I'm going to give it to Cleveland in 5. If Colorado stays out of the box, we could see it in 6, but I see Cleveland taking this series regardless. So moving on here as they get exciting now. We are in the Western Pacific, the home of the Mate Lads, and the first series.
Fuck off.
Where's that shirt?
Where is the shirt?
I'm not getting the shirt.
Get the shirt.
Devin, can you grab me the shirt, please?
Thank you.
Devin said no, so I can't get it. Sorry, unlucky.
Well, that's fair. Next week. In the Western Pacific, if you don't win both your games, you got to put it on next week.
Both?
Gotta wear it.
Yes.
Stockton, third lines, please. I'll PayPal you $100 just to not wear the shirt.
So I'm not going to spend too much time on this series. I said it in my post. It's my team. How am I going to root against them? I think it's going to be an awesome series. Grandpa Puff's one of the most elite goalies I've seen. Could be a Vezina goalie in the NHL. It's not even question. The man plays awesome goalie, but I'm giving my team the 7-game wins. I like my team, but Axie's done a great job. I rag on that team all the time, and it's good. I like it. It's going to be good banter. We're going to have a fun series. Trash talk every night. I'm excited for it. But they built an awesome squad. And props to Axie and the squad they built. But, yeah, I'm going to have to say you're going to be go ahead, Dunks. I'll get to my end here.
So I think it's going to be I don't know. It's a 7-game series. I don't know who wins. It comes down to, in my opinion, the 2 starting goalies for each team. Grandpa versus Johansson. Johansson's a solid goalie. Grandpa Puff obviously is the best goalie in the league, but Johansson put together a decent season on Belleville, and we traded for him, and he's done good things for us. Otherwise, I think we have the edge on defense, but they have a little bit more balanced offense, in my opinion. So it's so hard. I don't know. I don't know who wins. It goes to 7, and it's whichever
Go
goal
San
wins the game. Huh?
Go
The
San
winner,
Jose.
winner of the series starts with an S.
What?
You got to go with San Jose.
The winner
Yeah,
of
Mate
the
Lads.
series starts with an S. That's all I'm saying.
Oh.
The Mate Lads.
Go ahead, Dave.
I'm not going to talk much about it because it's our own team. But I gave the prediction us in 7 because I got to pick my own team, and I picked us in 7 because all the games this season have been very, very, very close games. They've been nail biters right to the end, and I'm honestly very excited. But I'm also ready for Stockton, so it'll be interesting. So it being our own team, I picked us in 7.
Garris?
Stockton in 4. No, I'm kidding. It's hard to pick against your own team because I do enjoy playing this game somewhat. I mean, the competitive spirit about LG playoffs, So I want to say us in 7, but because it's too biased, obviously. But if I really had to pick as an unbiased opinion, I'd probably say Stockton 6. But I mean, my pick is going to be us in 7 if I wasn't on the mate lads. So I mean,
I'll have to remember. Oh, so you're saying you're that good of a player? You're going to put us in Game 7?
I'm not a Game 7 player. I mean, look what happened when Neji benched me. But obviously, I'm surrounded by the teams that's more talented this season than it was back then.
Okay.
So,
all right.
yeah.
I'll go with that. Yeah, like I said, Axie, great season, man, but sorry, we're going to have to send you home early. But
like how you looked in the camera like that. Like how you looked in the camera like that. You just kind of like turned in your chair and went like.
Yeah, really seductively. Who knows what's going to happen after? No, it's going to be a great series. Looking forward to it. Lots of good stuff happening. We're going to move on to the last series here. We've got, and my quote of this series was, "You're not so different, you and I." It is the Ontario Reign versus the San Diego Gulls. Both teams having absolutely huge key points in their game that could be a difference maker. On one side, you have Ontario. I know I talk about the West Coast line in the first 2 games they have her home. I know. I talk about it all the time, and Ontario laughs about it. But they've got more than just that. Their managers are incredibly talented. They have great guys in net, along with Peking Duck. But then on the other side, the Gulls, lazy kids, man. Another goalie that's been looked off so much because of all the spotlight being on Grandpa in this division. Luke is having himself a great season as well. And they have a lot more depth. I've talked about Mind Trip when we did commentary, Crosby and I, a few weeks ago. He played phenomenally. One of the best games I've ever seen from a defenseman in the AHL. But they have 7 draft picks. And this team is a 3rd seed in in the most difficult division. Is that not impressive? That it's insane. But I'm going to start off with Dunks. What do we got for predictions here?
It's tough. I say Ontario in 7. I don't know who they put in their Game 7 lineup. They got a lot of choices. But I think they're. I think after playing what I think at least is San Diego's best offensive line. They did put up 4 goals against us the other night, but they only had 7 shots. And that's not a knock against Johansson or anything. It's just we had some defensive breakdowns that shouldn't have happened, and we let up 3 goals in the first period, and we were chasing the game from the start. And that same week, I lost to Ontario as well to Statsny's line. We played Statsny's line, I thought, really well. So it's kind of tough to say, but I think that West Coast line, like Bryson mentioned, and a not mentioned lineup or line that really doesn't get enough credit is draft pick Chaos Elite and Leporshkin with T.S. Dutchy on left wing. I mean, that's another great line. I played with Chaos as an ECU in the past, and he is a phenomenal player. So I got Ontario in 7.
Dave?
I picked Ontario in 5, I do believe. I picked earlier today. But I picked on... Pardon?
I hate to interrupt you, but did you bring up the comparison numbers?
I did, yes.
Can we hear them? I'm curious.
Yeah. Oh, okay, fine. Yeah, sure. Ontario actually has a 3-0-1 series lead for this season. So San Diego's only beaten Ontario once, and that was in overtime. Ontario dominates in shots, goals, time on attack. They're 4 for 7 on the power play. The more face-off wins. The only category that the Gulls are actually winning in is hits, 43-18. But I picked Ontario mostly because I played with KSP and Average Boy a lot in other leagues and a few seasons back. And that was actually one of my best seasons on defense was with them because they were my West Coast buddies. But I can see KSP and Average Boy also playing home games and using that West Coast connection to their advantage, and I think that's going to be a huge difference maker in the series. So I picked Ontario in 5. Just too much depth on forward.
Yes.
Am I the only one who's going to pick San Diego? So I'm going to go San Diego in 7.
You looking happy about it?
No, I mean, I'd really like to see San Diego to win because obviously I'm going to give you a game plan. You know, they're going to have the West Coast line play games 1, 2, or 5, any combination of those. So you pretty much have to factor that in. Line match, you know, they saw what they did to our Game 7 line with their Luke line. So, I mean, I don't really think they should have a problem. I mean, it's going to be a hard fought series. I mean, when it comes to averaging KSP, and John's is about as useless as 2 circumcised penis when it comes to docking.
Okay, what the fuck was that shit?
In case anyone wants to know what the
Rated program.
looks like, grab.
Look, if you don't know what docking is, PM Golski 40, he'll be sure to let you know.
Yeah, just ask who's that one guy that wants you? Let me go off on a tangent. Hopstrom.
Oh, yeah, ask him. He'll know.
Anyway, back
yeah,
to it. Yeah, San Diego. I mean, Lazy is a great goalie, but I don't see them having too much of a problem if they just properly line manage. I'm going to say 7, just to give Ontario because I mean they've been great all season. But yep, San Diego in 7.
This series bothers me. I mean, all these series have been tough to decide on, but after I played San Diego on Wednesday, and with some of our best players on the squad, obviously I need to reevaluate things. But man, it wasn't even their Game 7 lineup; it was just a line, and they, like Dunk said, they only had 7 shots, but they pretty much Malcheski and I couldn't do a thing. Yeah, I think their defense is incredibly underrated. But I will say, ever since I wrote my prediction, I've been having second guesses, thinking, man, I really do think Ontario is a good team. I have the goals in 6, only because I think Lazy's going to step up and carry the squad. But Ontario could very well win this series. But I'm going to go ahead with the goals in 6 and stay true to my prediction. That's what I'm going to stick with. So, but that's it. That's it, boys. Playoffs are upon us, and it's about to get sweaty. Clean your controllers. Dunks, do you get the little crevice of crud from your sweaty controllers?
Dude, you already know I have really sweaty hands. Like, you know that.
Sweating your ass off by sitting there in that sweatshirt.
Huh?
You're probably sweating your ass off right now in that sweatshirt.
Well, no, I got the air turned off, so.
On?
The heat turned off. Off, yeah. Off.
Oh.
But what are those, Sean?
My
Is that a
scuff.
scuff? Oh. Yeah,
Wow.
Fuck that.
I'm still useless.
Yeah, no kidding. Like just sitting here holding my mouse, I don't know if you can see like the glisten of sweat on my mouse there.
Oh,
Preparation.
It's disgusting. My hands are always clammy, and it gets even worse in playoff time. And the thing I hate most about it is I feel like my heart's in my throat the whole time. I sit there because I legitimately care about winning, and I want to win. But
live to win.
Same, man. In the same way. There's been a lot of NHL games. I'm like,
You
I'm
even
sitting-
forfeit in the
I'm
playoffs.
sitting on the
didn't you?
edge of my. I literally sit in my leather chair that I'm sitting in right now, and I'm leaned forward, elbows on my knees, and I'm staring at the TV,
I
sweating
thought you
and
would
heart
stick to your chair.
my stomach. What?
Dave, when you play big games, do you just sit like that with your?
No, it's actually my computer room's upstairs and my Xbox is downstairs. But right now I'm sitting on my hands because it's really fucking cold. like it's.
Well, for 1 minute, Dave, let's see your game face. What is your game face? I really hope you don't
Dave,
play.
gotta make a noise.
No,
That's the I fuck my dad face for me.
you miss some breakouts, Dave. Your
grab
eyes
my
closed.
controller and I just
Wow. I don't know if you're trying to play NHL or seduce me.
Well, that's a little bit of both. You got to seduce the puck to win games.
It's true.
What a genius.
My
Everyone
hands are getting
Down
really
syndrome, Dave.
clammy here, guys.
I always go into
genius.
practice and I twiddle the puck around before a game to get it in the mood.
Play with it a little, right?
Yeah. You got to get the feel of the puck.
Oh,
You know?
you got to get the ice is wet, but you got to get the puck wet too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
4 plays.
You can't
all
have
that
the
matters.
puck freezing to the ice. You got to get a little wet so that it slides nice.
Okay.
All right.
I think that's what we're gonna end it on today.
Ooh, wow. Great show, guys. It was fun. Good luck to everyone in the playoffs. We do mean it, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. We look to be back next week. We're going to recap same stuff, do our predictions, maybe try and get an interview in. One of the playoffs, someone in the playoffs. Who knows? We'll see. But till then, hope you all enjoyed the show. Everyone enjoy the playoffs. Those not in the playoffs, have a happy holidays and enjoy your time off and golfing on the snowy courses. So have a good night, everybody.
Can't you see I'm falling?